Well, thanks for clicking on to the Saturday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. Post-Hurricane Fiona has struck eastern Canada with quite devastating force, actually. Wind gusts in excess of 100 miles an hour in several places, causing significant damage, power loss, and homes actually on the coastline being washed ashore. I believe three provinces in eastern Canada recorded wind gusts in excess of 85 miles an hour, and a few places recorded winds in excess of 100 miles per hour. And it looks as if preliminary reports indicate that Hurricane Fiona was indeed the deepest area of low pressure to ever affect the Canadian shores. So it's going to be interesting to see when all is said and done and when all the information is collected with regards to Fiona, where this ranks. But it looks as if with pressure down into the 930s in millibars, this could well be regarded as the strongest storm to ever hit Canada, which is interesting, but of course very sad also here. So looking at the latest satellite loop here, you can see the circulation associated with ex-Hurricane Fiona. A very interesting tweet here shows the amazing power of Hurricane Fiona or ex-Hurricane Fiona, with homes being washed into the sea. Obviously, very devastating scenes indeed. Here's a tweet here by Scott Duncan, sorry, with Hurricane Fiona meeting the jet stream, and then of course transitioning from tropical to extratropical. But notice here with the system connecting up with the jet stream, we then see an enhancement of the upper level winds, a very quick transition from tropical warm core to cold core, and of course the combination of warm air masses meeting cold air masses, almost kind of re-energizing the system but restructuring it at the same time as the properties change. It kind of no longer feeds off the warm ocean, but it feeds in fact off the contrast in air masses. But look at this here, tremendous tweet here by Nahel Belgrazi. I do apologize if I have got that pronunciation wrong, but just beautiful meteorology coming together here, but of course with devastating force on the east coast of Canada here. Tweet by my good friend Jesse Farrell, peak wind gusts in excess of 111 miles per hour. As you can see here, many other reports indicating a couple over 100, and then several in the 90 mile per hour range, several more in the 80 mile per hour range. So certainly a very, very significant system indeed for eastern portions of Canada. But what is going to take place over the next several days is we are going to start to see a cold front sweeping south over the British Isles. What we've got is a rather large area of high pressure over the central Atlantic. What we've got is Fiona riding the western flank of that area of high pressure, and what will take place is as warm tropical air lifts north up the western side of the Atlantic Basin, eastern portion of North America, what we're going to see is we are going to see the river of air rising northwards over the western side of the ocean, but in turn we're actually going to see the downward push of air over the UK and over western portions of Europe through the next several days here. So as one air mass lifts north, bringing even heavy snow to parts of eastern Canada with further gale force winds, there is Fiona right at the very edge of the chart, as you can see here, pushing north. What we've got is we've got a very deep area of low pressure between Greenland and Scandinavia, pressure down in the 960s and millibars. Very impressive actually for the time of the year. There's the associated frontal system. As that approaches, increase in very strong winds, and heavy rainfall. As that sinks south, the air mass will turn considerably colder than it is at the moment here. As you can see, through the course of the early portion of next week, uh, there's the remnants of Hurricane Fiona. Down comes that area of low pressure, is at the moment way to the north, in the middle portion of Greenland, certainly the latitude of middle Greenland anyway. As we head into the early portion of next week, down comes that area of low pressure. Slightly weakening, as you can see now at 985 millibars, but what may happen with the system bodily moving southwards, we may actually see the first kind of stormy conditions of the season. So this is, of course, Tuesday the 27th of September here, and that area of low pressure actually bodily moves down over the North Sea, increase in wind, increase in rainfall, and we are also going to be seeing some pretty cold air associated with that as well. And then as we go towards the latter half of next week, we've got systems coming in off the Atlantic, riding over the top of that suppressed Azores high that at the moment is over the central North Atlantic. By this stage, according to this run of the GFS at least, it will be to the west of Iberia here, and then we've got a fairly strong jet stream crossing over the Atlantic here. Looking at the 850 temperature profile here and going back to the current chart, we've got relatively warm air, if you notice here, across the British Isles. Frontal system well to the north, over the far North Atlantic, and containing that cold air mass over Greenland. But as we go through the next few days, you can see what takes place here, that we have got the push of warm tropical air up towards Greenland, and in turn, downstream of that, we've got a lobe of pretty cold Arctic air sinking south over the British Isles here, and that is going to produce possible daytime temperatures and staying even below 10 Celsius in a few spots. Aviemore, Altnahara, Braemar, for example, may have a hard time reaching 10 Celsius during the daytime. We could also be talking about frosty conditions during the overnight period, especially if you've got clear skies and relatively light winds, and that system kind of moves ever further south. As we move into the month of October, autumn's second month, of course, we've got another system that moves in with colder air coming in on the back side. And then if you notice here, the modelling tries to cycle some warm air over the mid-Atlantic to up into the British Isles here, keeping conditions rather mild, if you will. But you notice the fact that the tropics are really kind of throwing quite a spanner in the works. So it's going to enhance the uncertainty in the forecast, the outlook, especially when you get into the 7 to 10 day period. Very difficult to pinpoint where we're going with regards to the weather. It all depends on what happens with the tropics. We've got what is expected to become Hurricane Ian. That is going to be moving into the Caribbean, becoming a very powerful Category 3, possibly Category 4 hurricane. I'm going to talk about that hopefully tomorrow in our tropical outlook. That has significant implications on Florida and the southeastern half of the United States, and I will talk more about that in tomorrow's video. But you can see the level of uncertainty increases when the tropics become more involved, and this was part of the September outlook, of course, that I made mention of the tropics becoming more active and therefore significant influence on the UK and Europe weather pattern here. So certainly it's all to play for as we leave the month of September, begin the month of October here. Finally, let's have a very quick look at the UK picture and see whether there's any snow in the forecast, especially over the tops of the Grampians and the Cairngorms, for example. The air mass may be cold enough to support some snowfall during the upcoming work week here. If you can notice here, play through the loop. Is it indicating anything, in terms of snowfall? I showed this in the video a couple of days ago, and it didn't have anything. And interestingly enough, it still doesn't have anything in terms of snow over the tops of the mountains. But we'll continue to watch that as we go forward. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching. As always, please like, share, and if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Bye for now.